Okay. Sir, just let me know.
No comments.
Don't drink from the water. It's been
So, guys, yes, got to take care of the sponsors.
Daniel, right here to your left.
Okay. Hey.
Congratulations on a historic victory, the first fighter to defend titles in 2 weight classes. What does that mean to you?
It means everything. You know, I've told you guys for a very long time that I wanted to be remembered when I left this sport. And I think when you get into doing things that have never been done before, that ensures that I will always be thought of when you think about the greatest fighters of all time. It's truly amazing. And then to do it in Madison Square Garden, it was just insane.
And it seems you had a bit of an accident this morning, correct? You hurt yourself?
I hurt myself this morning bad. And look, sometimes I go into the octagon and I hear it in the build-up, like, when is this guy going to get old? You know, it could happen overnight. I thought it happened this morning. I sneezed. And I slipped my back out, guys. I was hurting bad. Like, seriously, we got some pictures that we may release later in the week, but, like, I sneezed, and because I sneezed, my back slipped out. And I went to try to do my morning run, and it wasn't happening. I went back in the UFC. You know, they have the Performance Institute. They travel with us now. So Heather Linden and Clint Wattenberg, they came over with the massage table, with the stem machine, with all kinds of stuff to try to help me release my back. And then at around 1 o'clock, it was to the point that I was still kind of singed over and leaning, that Bob Cook was all, if you don't get better, then we're going to have to make a decision on whether or not you're going to fight. So it was real close. I said, just let me take a nap. I said, if you let me take a nap, I'll see if I feel better. And I woke up and went for a walk. And when I went for a walk and got active, my back started to release a little bit. It was very scary because I really had no idea how we were going to explain that one. Like, I mean, I was like, I don't know how we're going to explain this. Like, that I sneezed and hurt my back. That's getting old. That's what that is.
Right. And so your performance wouldn't have shown it. Did you feel, as good as you could have in the octagon against Derrick?
Well, once I started feeling better, I just really, like, kind of turned up the feeling better. I mean, sometimes you can almost mentally make yourself feel better. Like, but again, this is three-week training camp, and generally when I'm in fight camp, at about 3 weeks, my back does kind of go bad, and then I have to take a few days off to recover. But I usually have 5 weeks left of training. Just so happened that it happened on the day of the fight. But once I got into the octagon, we had a real focus of being very bundled up and just really hot. Once I got warm, I mean, my locker room the temperature was at about 85 degrees because once I got warm, I needed to stay warm. I was wearing old busted up sweatpants, Oklahoma State wrestling sweat top, because I needed to make sure that once I got hot and I got sweating, I didn't cool down, because when your back's bothering you, when you cool down, it's over. Like, you are done for the rest of the afternoon. It would have been unfortunate if I was done for the rest of the night.
Yeah, that's crazy. So going forward from here, it seems like the Brock Lesnar fight is next. The UFC just announced its schedule for next year. There's UFC 235, which is beginning of March, 2 weeks before your birthday. Dana said he wants you to take some time off after taking this fight. So does that seem like that could be the last one, the farewell fight?
Yep, that could be the retirement fight for old DC. That's crazy, right? When you start to think about it. Talk about having an opportunity to go out on an all-time high, headlining in Vegas against Brock Lesnar. Before I turned 40, 2 weeks before my birthday, have my biggest fight. Yeah, it's crazy. But I'm glad that he wants me to take some time, because I stepped up on short notice. And honestly, I've fought 3 times this year with 3 finishes. 3 championship fights, 3 finishes. I've had a big year, probably one of my more active years that I've had in a long time. And it just feels good to get my hand raised and It looks like March 3rd. Is it the 3rd, 4th?
So
March 2nd. Yeah. So March 2nd, 2019 could be the last time you guys see me fight in the octagon.
well, that's sad to hear. But in terms of the actual fight against Brock himself, how do you see this thing going? I mean, is this a guy that can test you, or do you see yourself being very dominant against him like you have in some of, majority of your fights?
I think he can test me. I mean, he's a big, strong guy, and his wrestling kind of cancels out my biggest advantage over most people. This guy's an NCAA wrestling champ. He's a 4-time All-American, was second as a junior, 2-time junior college national champion. I mean, Brock is a beast, man. I know I talk a lot of trash about him, but he is a real-life beast, and he's a guy that is going to really push me, and I'm excited about it. Could you imagine the visual? I mean, me standing across the octagon from Brock Lesnar. It's going to be insane, but it's also going to be fun, and it's another opportunity for me to test myself in the octagon, because that's what I'm doing. Right now it's about tests, and fighting these bigger guys is always a test.
I just want to talk about the fight. You in the post-fight interview, you talked about getting caught and that you were blinking for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that exchange?
I don't know what happened exactly. I think when I picked his leg up, he punched me. Now, I did that with Rumble, and Rumble hit hard, but not like this dude. When this dude hit me, I was like, holy smokes. I don't know if he just threw it as hard as he possibly could or what, but it was powerful. I was like, wow, Derrick Lewis is really powerful. I was like, I need to stay on this dude's legs. So I just kept wrestling. I just kept wrestling. My boys at Gilroy will be proud. They'll be proud. All my little wrestlers will be proud about Coach going out there securing some takedowns. First takedown, I got him with that inside trip. Second one was a single leg, ran the pipe. Third one was I shelved his leg up and threw him down. And the last one, I actually got a front headlock to an ankle pick, which is something you don't generally get in fights, but he had kind of gotten lost. We like to say lost in the sauce. You give them so many things that they can't keep up. Because in fighting, a lot of guys have good baseline defense. So you just keep throwing things at them until something sticks at the wall. Keep throwing at the wall, something will stick. That ankle pick knocked him back, and he kind of looked like, again, I'm on my back again, and then Coach Leandro said KC control. It's a system that we've worked for a long time, checkmat. And when he did it, I covered the legs, and he turned back to his knees and just presented his neck. I mean, he's the first guy, though, that when I've got him in half guard, I start to punch him, and he turns to his knees, and I catch the inside wrist. I love to do that. That's like my favorite position, grabbing the inside wrist and just starting to let go with the other hand. He still got up. That's how strong this dude was. And I was holding his wrist, and he still got to his feet. It was crazy. I thought about just letting him go and trying to kick him in the head, but the danger in that was that I might have to stand up with him again. So I'd rather just grab his leg.
One last question about the fight. Did anything surprise you in how he approached it? I know he threw a couple switch kicks, a few front leg kicks. Anything surprise you, or was that in the game plan?
That's what we expected. I mean, he's always done that. It's a lot of big actions with Derrick Lewis. It's not like you can watch guys, like you watch a guy that's throwing everything, but he's not necessarily throwing everything with 100% power. Like I don't. I kind of throw things to set and get to the shot that I think is going to be super meaningful. But Derrick doesn't do that. Like those big jumping kicks and those big, huge actions that he does is just him. So I expected it. That one leg kick he threw in the first round, I kind of turned to check it, but I didn't get my shin all the way forward. So I took it on the outside of my leg. My leg's a bit swollen now from one kick. It's crazy.
Champ over here. Congrats on your performance tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Where do you rate Derrick as opposed to some of your other opponents that you faced this year, especially going up against Stipe?
He's not as good as Stipe. Obviously, Stipe's the most successful heavyweight champ we've ever had. He's a tremendous fighter, and he's really good. Derrick is a specialist. A lot of times, specialists really struggle with guys that can do just about everything. Because the reality of the situation is, if I was forced to stand with him, I would have, but he did not have the same option as me when it came to the grappling, right? I could have stood with him if I needed to, but I didn't need to because of the wrestling. He can obviously stand with me, but he can't grapple with me. He does not have that ability, and specialists tend to struggle like that. Just like the jiu-jitsu guys. When they can only grapple, they struggle when they're forced to stand. You've got to be a well-rounded mixed martial artist if you want to be successful in this game.
And second and final question from me. Second highest pay-per-view behind UFC 229 for you tonight at the Garden. You've got that fight coming up against Brock, possibly. He just won the WWE title last night. Where do you see that put you in terms of negotiating your next fight, your final fight? Do you think that kind of puts you over the top compared to this fight tonight?
I don't understand what you just said.
I'm sorry.
How would you know how the pay-per-views did?
No, it's a great gate of the year. Gate of the year.
The gate.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Hey, so here's the deal with the gate, right? When we got announced for this fight, the arena was still pretty empty. I mean, honestly, and they had some good fights on this card, so I think that is a testament to maybe what Derrick had gained in terms of his following. Or I've always had full arenas, whether they're booing me or cheering me, I've always had full arenas, which is a really good thing. Buffalo last year was filled to the brim when I fought against Anthony Johnson. Obviously, when Jones and I fight, it's always full. Gustafson in Houston, full. Like every time I fight, it's full. My next fight, when it comes to Lesnar, I got to be honest with you guys. Like when it comes to negotiating, like I kind of just ask and they just kind of do it. Like it's really not like me going, I want $3 million, and they go, no. It's almost like, oh, okay, you kind of deserve it, and they just kind of been doing it. Like it's just like when you do things the right way, they kind of they respect that, and Dana White's that type of guy. He really does take care of me in a lot of different ways. I don't even know what that means. Well, that's good. That means I'm going to be getting a check. What happened to UFC 226? It's supposed to be the super fight. God dang, man. Stipe. I'm not taking no fault. Stipe. I'm not taking no fault.
DC. So this is the book is closed on 205 pounds now. Is that correct? You're
so here's the thing, Marundi. So here's the thing.
You know my actual name.
Yeah,
to
Ramundi.
clarify. Okay,
Ramundi. Yes, I do know your name's Ramundi, but one time he did a pre-fight show and he might have picked me to lose, so I've been calling him Marundi from that day forward. But we've really
That was 4 years ago, by the way.
4 years ago I've been calling him Marundi, but we have squashed our beef. We had Brazilian candy the other day together. It was awesome. Brigadeiro. There you go, and it was really good. What was the question?
Light heavyweight. The book is closed on
Okay.
that division for you.
Okay, so today I weighed 247. Yesterday I weighed 251. So maybe I should have not had breakfast before weigh-ins. But I cut from this weight to 205. Like there's no difference in what I weigh today as to what I weigh when I fight 205. Last Thanksgiving, got a little crazy, and I got this scale in my house, which I swear that's heavy, but I don't think it is. And I got on my clothes. You know when you're scared to get on the scale because you're like, I'm gonna wear my clothes to try to lie to myself and say I got 10 pounds of clothes on. And it said I weighed 260 pounds the day after Thanksgiving. And I weighed in at 205 on January 19th to fight Volkan. So I mean, I know how to I'll go cut the weight if I have to, but that won't happen for anyone. That'll only happen if Lesnar isn't available and then I get to fight Jones. It's the only way.
The reason I ask is I asked Jones about this yesterday at the press conference, and he doesn't seem too keen on giving you a shot at 205 or heavyweight.
Giving me a shot.
Those are the words that he used.
I mean, seriously, giving me a shot. Here's the deal. When it comes to Jones, it's hard for me to really take anything seriously because you say, I don't want to give you a shot and you don't deserve it. I beat you. He said he knocked me out, which he did. And you guys know I've always said he won the fight. And he once put a video up of a little girl kicking a girl in the head. I said, look, man, she set that kick up perfect. But you who are on steroids, dog, you can't use that. It's the same thing. Like, I'm sure USADA said whatever, but you still had steroids in your system. It does not matter. You can't be on steroids in no way, shape, or form. That's not fair. So for him to say, I don't think he deserves a title shot, or I'm not going to grant him, who are you to grant me anything? I'm the guy that's been here this whole time. 3 years I've been the light heavyweight champion because this dude can't stay out of trouble. That dude actually got in so much shit that they just said, here, DC, you can have the belt back last year after he knocked me out. Like, seriously. How crazy must the guy that won be for them to go, hey, man, you can just have this back? Seriously. Because we know with you, shit's safe. That shit's safe in San Jose. With you, it's safe. But with this dude, like, we don't know what he gonna do. So he just gave it back. I mean, seriously, think about it. Him and Alexander, right? Listen to the difference. Listen to the difference. Him and Alexander are fighting for what belt? This one. But what's it called? Interim? No. What's it called? Vacant. Right? So why wouldn't Volkan and I have fought for the vacant light heavyweight title? Right? Guy got stripped. Just like I'm getting stripped. Why wouldn't I have fought for a vacant title? Because they know with me it's safe. And I'm not sure if he wins in December and then gets in trouble again, they don't go, hey, TC, you want this thing back? I mean, seriously. It's crazy.
Last thing for me, I asked Dana earlier, we were talking about you, and I asked, could DC be the president of the UFC one day? Does he have the capability to be the promoter? Because he reshared a video of you talking about Derrick. You were selling the fight. Do you think that could be your future at any point?
I love the UFC. Like, I want to be working with the UFC for the rest of my career, not only fighting, but broadcasting. But I've got some great opportunities, man. I've got some really, really big opportunities that I can't share right now. But I've got some real life opportunities. And with these opportunities, I'll make more money than I've ever made fighting. So you do things the right way and you educate yourself to try to present yourself in the right light. So many things are going to come your way. So I've got some real life opportunities coming my way that I can't even share. That's outside of the WWE. So I've got some big things coming that I will probably be able to have to focus on. So I don't know if I could be the president. But how cool. It's not movies. I don't want to do movies. I don't like it too much. But it's just more TV stuff. But it's going to be big TV stuff. And you guys will be excited when it happens.
So I have a few things. First thing, regarding the punch that hit you in the eye, we had asked Derrick, what did you hit him with? And he said he didn't feel anything. So maybe he really does hit hard. Are you sure that was in the clinch? Was it somewhere else?
Well, I know I got punched.
Remember.
He punched me. Maybe he didn't feel me punching him, but I know he punched me and he kicked me. But it was a punch. Yeah, when I had his leg up on my shoulder, I think he just kind of reached back and punched me. I mean, you guys saw the fight. I was in there. I don't know what the hell was going on. I was trying to just survive.
It seemed like it was actually a fairly, aside from the standing exchanges, which, he could try and take your head off at any point, you had most of the control on the ground. He got up a few times, but you knew where it was going to play out. Was that any harder than the struggle you had getting your warm-up shirt off before walking into the ring?
It was a lot harder, man. Don't be disrespecting Derrick. He did a good job. Look.
No, I meant the struggle with the shirt was pretty hard.
Oh, my God. Bob tried to kill me. I said, Bob, zipper. I was like, zipper. Then he takes off the overshirt and then still tries to pull the shit off with the zipper again. I go, Bob, zipper. This is embarrassing because I was in the back, right? Like, and I'm thinking about my back and everything else. I'm like, oh, man, this is a horrible way to start the day. And then we've been pretty seamless with that whole deal. I mean, I don't even take my shirt off. I just reach over to Bob knowing Bob's going to pull my shirt off and then give me my mouth guard in the same order every time. Today, he hands me the mouth guard first and then tries to strangle me with the damn shirt. You should have heard me like under the shirt going, zipper. Trying not to say it too loud so the cameras didn't pick it up. I was like, zipper, dude, seriously, what are you doing? I was like, God dang, Bob. He was nervous. He was scared of the black beast.
And the final question is, you said you'd only go down to 205 Jones. What happens if Gustafsson wins and Lesnar doesn't make it. Maybe.
Then I guess I'm fighting Stipe again. I guess.
It's not happening for anybody but Jones, regardless.
Yeah, at 205. Yeah, for sure. It's the only one. But if Lesnar can't fight and Jones loses, I'll fight Stipe. If it's not Lesnar at heavyweight, it'll be Stipe. Like, he deserves a rematch. I mean, I never said he didn't, and I've always said it'll be him if not Lesnar. I just didn't want to fight him on 3 weeks' notice. I mean, you got to understand that. Like, I didn't. We wouldn't put our best product out there if it was him and I on 3 weeks. So it's better to have a full camp if we do it again.
DC, to your right. How you doing? Sort of a broader question, but it's just kind of remarkable. We're living in an age where a lot of UFC stars are like trying to get ahead by pushing back against the promotion at times, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. You don't ever seem to do that. You actually seem to work with them in tandem, and I mean, it's just sort of remarkable. Like, is there a lesson to infer from that?
Yeah, I mean, it just it's that conflict doesn't always work, right? Conflict doesn't always work. Now, there have been times where I've been pissed off. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I got pissed off when Jones got reinstated. And they tried to call me, and I wasn't very nice in the conversations that we had with them or USADA. I mean, there have been times where we haven't agreed on things. It's just that after I talk, most times with Dana, we sit down and we talk about things and we hash it out, and it works. It just kind of works. Like, I'm not a young guy. I'm an older guy that understands that it's usually better to try to resolve things than to continue down the path of just being just in conflict. So it just works. And honestly, if you're looking at the guys that have benefited from the issues with the company, and then you watch the guy that hasn't, it seems to work. I make a ton of money every time I fight. Every time I fight, I make a ton of money. And when I don't make a ton of money fighting, I'm making a ton of money calling fights or doing something else for the UFC. It works. There's no reason to. It just closes so many doors because then you become hard to work with. It's like any other job, and I'm not sitting here like saying I don't have my issues, because I do, and I'm very vocal about my issues. They're just not public. As I don't talk about the arguments I have with my wife or with my parents or anybody, I don't need to talk about the issues I have with the UFC. I did that post about USADA, and that was bad. Like, USADA was like trying to figure out what the hell I was doing. They're like, "Yo, man, you when you say things, it does have value. So when you're doing this, it's a problem." And then I spoke to them and the UFC and everybody, and we kind of understood. I made two people that I like a lot. The lady that tested me in San Jose, I've been tested more than anybody. And because of all the things I said, they were at the gym one day to test me, and they were just like nervous. They're usually so warm and like engaging to me. They were both just kind of sitting in the corner, almost not sure of how I would treat them because I was so openly negative towards the company that they work for. And I told them, I'm over that, I was mad a few weeks ago. I'm fine. I get over things quick.
DC, you mentioned you and Brock obviously communicate and text each other. Have you gotten a text from him after this fight? I'm sure he watched it wherever he is in the world right now.
I don't know. I haven't checked my phone. Winning fights is great, but like going through your messages afterwards is the worst. It literally takes hours because everybody seems to text you, and then they get mad at you like, "Hey, man, I called you." I'm like, "Of course you did. Everybody did." It's like, how am I supposed to answer the phone for every single person? Why didn't you text me back? I'm like, and initially I didn't take that scene thing off of my phone, so they would look at when I saw their messages. Thank God for Danny Rubenstein. He told me how to take it off. Like, they would see scene, and I'd be like, I know you saw it. I'm like, no, I didn't. They're like, dude, screen grab. Like, you saw my text, and I'm just like, I dead silent. Because if you answer, then it starts a conversation. Now you've got hundreds of people trying to have a conversation with you. It's impossible. So I haven't checked it yet. But if there is a text from Brock, I'll probably respond to him and tell him to kick his ass. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. As always. Careful with the tape. My balance is off. What side, guys? This side, that side?
Go toward Esther. Wherever.
Can I get a folding so we can there's a table in front of you? Oh, Oscar. Yeah.
Mark, will you do me a favor?
Yeah.
That back, this far right one? No, the far right one. Up top, the top right. Yeah, that one. Yank it? Yeah. There'll be a little button, a little